Welcome to Release to Results, the Course in Miracles series. Today we're on lesson 79. Let me recognize the problem so it can be solved. Do you have any problems? And what this lesson looks to point out to us is there's one problem. There's one thing that all of these seeming different problems seem to be. And if you're uncertain about what that problem is, it doesn't matter if the solution's already there. You might not recognize it, you might not see it. So today we're going to go through this energy of problems, problems. And notice it's just an energy, it's just a frequency, one thing behind all the seeming separate things. And in this complexity of making a whole bunch of different problems for ourselves, we are desperately attempting to not have a resolution, a solution. So we'll just notice the energy behind problems, start to let it go, and then we'll notice the resistance to a solution and start to let that go. Because what's recommended today is to simply let ourselves recognize the one problem so it can be solved. And that problem is suggested to be separation. Separation. If I'm separate from God, the world, and everything in it, then there could be lots of problems. If that separation doesn't even exist, then perhaps everything's already solved. You have such incredible power. You are a very powerful being that has simply, become unconscious of that power. And as we go through the course workbook, we're just becoming more conscious of what we really are, how powerful we really are, and allowing that power to solve everything. So let's recognize the problem today so that it can be solved. Hi, Arno. Um, so let's begin. Do you have any problems? Does it seem like you have any problems? Did you notice this vast amount of problems? It's tempting to look at things as many different separate problems. Hmm. Problems with health, problems with family, relationships, money, all these seeming different problems. And just see what comes out of your unconscious. If you simply open up to, wait, do I have any problems? Just allowing the mind to start to dump all these seeming problems. Oh, there's this and that and this and that. When I was doing this morning, I found a great many things that seemed to be a bunch of different problems. And could you open up and just allow that to flow? It's okay. It's okay. It seems like there's so many different problems. What are some of these problems there seem to be? And could you simply take any one of these seeming many different problems? Take one. And could you ignore the thought about it and see what it feels like when you're having that thought, when you're aware of it? Could you allow the feeling behind the seeming problem? What does it feel like to seem to have a problem? Could you let that feeling come up? And could you let go of this energy, this feeling of a problem so that it could be solved? Would you let go of this feeling of problem so it could be solved? When could you let go and have resolution? And taking any problem that seems to be there, could be the same one, could be a different one, just allowing that to come to mind. What seems like a problem, and without judgment or moralization about it, righting or wronging on it, could you go to a place where you can feel the feeling and just ignore the thought of the problem? How does it feel? How does problem feel? Could you welcome that feeling, that energy, so it can move? Just letting it be there. And nothing to do about this feeling, nothing to change or modify. Could you just let it be there? Let it flow? And could you release the energy of problem? Let it be solved. Would you release the energy of problem if you could and have resolution? When could you let go of the energy of problem? And oh, it could seem like there's a great many problems. So many different things: money, relationships, health, the world. And could you take any seeming separate problem, any at all, and just notice it? Notice that thought of a problem. And without making good or bad of it, could you go behind the thought, just let the thought drift by without following it, and notice the energy that's been carried of problem? What does that feel like? Could you feel it? Could you allow it? Even welcome the attractor field, the energy, the feeling of problem. And just noticing it, watching it, being aware of this feeling as best you can. Could you do that? And could you surrender, give up this feeling? Would you surrender, Turn over this feeling if you could and shift your attractor field to solution. When could you surrender the problem and have it be resolved? And just noticing any shift, any lightening, maybe more comes up, maybe it's gone. It's okay. Takes what it takes. And could you pose the question, what is the problem? If all my problems are really one problem, what is that problem? Asking, not presuming to know the answer. What comes up for you? What answer is already there when you pose the question? What is the only problem? And could you open up to whatever answer comes up? And whatever came up for you, could you notice how it feels to have that one problem? Could you allow your consciousness to go to that stored feeling behind the problem? One problem. Ignoring the thoughts, allowing that energy to unstick just by noticing it, feeling it. And could you set the problem free? Let go of that energy. Would you release yourself from one problem and solve them all? When could you set yourself free from the problem, that feeling? Just allowing that energy to move, to shift. And does it seem like you have a problem? Is there not a solution there? Could you notice any resistance, denial, or refusal of a solution already being here? Take any problem, anything that seems to be there, and the mind might attempt to prove there's not a solution. Insist on it. Well, the very nature of a problem suggests a solution. Could you notice any resisting or refusing a solution to the problem? And could you go behind Any thoughts in the mind, just ignore them for now and feel what it feels like to be resisting a solution. Could you allow that resistance? Just let it be there, noticing that feeling, that vibration. Just sitting with it, letting that resistance run out just by being aware of it, feeling it. Could you release this resistance, this feeling? Allow the solution. Just could you, just would you release the resistance to your solution, to your problem? When could you release and have the solution already here? And there could be a great deal of resistance, whether it runs out in one go or not. Could you allow yourself to be aware of that shift in energy, if there is any? Maybe more comes up, maybe it lightens. And just allowing anything that seems to be a problem for you. Maybe the one problem, maybe it seems like many. It's okay. And just taking any problem that seems to come to mind. And has there been any refusal of a solution? Any resistance to a solution? Already done? Without judging or moralizing about whatever comes up for you. Could you notice any feeling of resisting, refusing, denying the problem has already been solved? Not a good feeling or a bad feeling, just a feeling, just some resistance to a solution already done. And as you notice this energy, any resistance, any feeling, whatever it is, wherever it is, could you simply be surrendering, turning it over? Nothing you have to do, change, modify, just acknowledging some energy, some resistance to a solution, and just surrendering, giving up, whatever that is. Could you surrender, give up resistance to a solution? Would you surrender, If you could, allow it to be solved. When could you surrender, give up resisting or refusing a solution already done, your problem solved? And what if it's true what it says here in the Course in Miracles? That there's only one problem and it's already solved. A solution to all your problems as one thing. What is the solution? Just asking in the field, what is the solution to all my problems? Not presuming to know what comes through when you ask the question, what is the solution to the problem? And whatever comes up for you, whatever came through, is there any resistance, denial, or refusal of the solution to all your problems being here? It couldn't be that easy. That's not it. Whatever comes up, it's okay without making true or false of it. Could you notice that feeling of resisting the solution to the seeming many problems being easy, being done, being guaranteed any resistance to the solution at all? How does that feel? Could you let that feeling up? Allow that resistance. Wherever it seems to be, whatever it seems to feel like, could you simply let the resistance run itself out by feeling it, noticing it, letting it be there? And could you let go of the resistance to the one solution? Would you drop the resistance to one solution, solving all seemingly separate problems? Let it be solved. When could you let go and let that solution already be everything taken care of? And well done releasing. Could you allow your problems, your seeming many separate problems, to be recognized? What the actual problem is today, so it can be solved? Let me recognize the problem so it can be solved. Feel free to comment what the problem was, what the solution was, how your release was. And are you allowing solutions today? The solution to the problem? Could you allow yourself to release any resistance to the solution? Release any energy of the problem and be solved. Have resolution. Robbie Zen. Lester once in the comments here, Lester said once that someday someone will come up with a one-shot release that can drop the whole thing at once. What are your thoughts on that? Well, not that my thoughts have any significance, though. Thank you for asking. Um, when I hit bottom many years ago, back in 2014, and I was in incredible despair. And Dr. David R. Hawkins had said, um, there's one thing more powerful than anything else, and that's surrendering to God. So I didn't know what that was, what God was, or anything like that. And but I didn't have anything else to do. So I surrendered at great depth, weeping, whatever I'm doing isn't working. I need help, and I surrender. And very rapidly I went from having nothing to everything I needed. I went from that despair to being pretty happy and free. And that sincerity of that surrender when I was at my bottom seemed to be a very effective one shot release. And guess what I did? Things were going better, things were going well. So I decided, oh, I can control it again. God didn't have it, God didn't have me. And so I re energized fear, re energized trying to control things, re energized being separate from God. And I got the results of that. And so I've had lots and lots of ups and downs since then. So, what's one shot? What's a one shot release? Surrendering to God at incredible depth with incredible sincerity. Could you could you let go of everything and let God? Could you be the witness to what God is doing? Surrender control could be a very powerful release. I've heard of many people releasing, surrendering to God at great depth and having incredible turnarounds. So then there's um, Dr. Hawkins. I was watching one of his lectures and he said, there's one thing to release. There's one thing to release. And he told me this, and does that mean I've done it? No. The one thing to release being wanting some kind of experience. Wanting some kind of experience. So if you've been with the Sedona Method at all, uh, we've got the four wants, the four major wants, and there's all this wanting and not wanting. All of that has to do with wanting some kind of experience. So could I let go of wanting to experience? Could I surrender that at great depth? So that was a suggestion he gave his students. Just let go of wanting some kind of experience. So could I let go of wanting experience? And that might be a one-shot release. So it's also suggested you could take any any one release, any one release, you go all the way with it. You could take this lesson today. Let me recognize the problem so it can be solved, and just release on that and go all the way. You can flip to any page here. Lesson 40. I am blessed as a son of God. Release on that. Release on that. It's not, maybe the problem isn't a whole bunch of different things we need to release. Maybe there's just one release to do. And Lester Levinson sat for 3 months and just release. That's how he went to freedom. Dr. Hawkins talks about releasing for years, like spending 3 years just surrendering anything that came up. What if that was just one release? What if this lifetime was the one shot release? The one shot to drop the whole thing at once. The Buddha says we get caught up in the world and we come back again and again and again. Could we spend this lifetime releasing the world, taking our one shot? Really good question, Ravi Zen. Thank you so much. And thanks everybody for being on. Keep on releasing. Feel free to pop to the link in the description and join us for even more releases. We do them twice a day, every day, besides this one. And would love to get to know you guys and facilitate some more releases for you guys on your topics. What is your problem? Where are you resisting a solution? Bring it up. Let's release it. Have the best day you can. And thanks.